The billionaire pretends to be a joker to test his employees. The laughter didn't start all at once. It crept in slowly, first a snicker, then a chuckle, then a wave that rolled across the vast marble lobby of Veil Dynamics like a cruel tide. Polished shoes stopped mid-step. Conversations broke apart. Heads turned. Fingers pointed. And standing at the center of it all was a man dressed like a joke, yet carrying the weight of an empire on his shoulders. The Joker costume was deliberately ridiculous. A deep purple coat with oversized buttons, an orange vest stained just enough to look worn, green hair styled into a messy, mocking wave, and a painted smile that stretched too wide to be comforting. His shoes squeaked faintly with every step, drawing even more attention. Heads leaned together. Phones came out. Someone laughed a little too loudly, as if performing for an invisible audience. No one recognized him, and that was the point. Beneath the smeared white paint and exaggerated red grin was Adrian Veil, the billionaire founder and CEO of Veil Dynamics. A man feared in boardrooms, praised in magazines, and admired on business school case studies. For 15 years his name alone commanded respect. Today, stripped of his tailored suits, his security detail, and his title, he was invisible in the worst possible way. Adrian felt his pulse thudding in his ears as he stepped forward. Deliberately clumsy, shoulders hunched, eyes lowered. Every instinct in him screamed to stand tall, to command silence, to remind them who he was. But he didn't. He swallowed the urge and played the role he had chosen. This wasn't theater. This was an autopsy of his company's soul. Is this some kind of joke? A man in a navy suit muttered loudly, earning laughs from his group. Well, he is dressed like one, another replied, not bothering to hide his smirk. The words landed harder than Adrian had expected. He had anticipated mockery, but anticipation didn't dull the blade. Each laugh cut deeper, not because it hurt his pride, but because it revealed something rotten beneath the polished surface of success. These were people who spoke of leadership, teamwork, and values in meetings. People who signed emails with words like empathy and respect. And yet, here they were. As Adrian walked past the reception desk, the receptionist recoiled slightly, wrinkling her nose. "You can't be here," she said sharply, not even looking up from her screen. "This is a professional environment." The irony nearly made him laugh. He continued deeper into the building, past glass-walled offices where million-dollar decisions were made daily. Inside those rooms, executives paused their conversations just long enough to watch him pass. Some laughed openly. Some whispered behind their hands. A few looked uncomfortable, but did nothing. Silence, Adrian realized, could be just as loud as cruelty. With every step, his mind replayed memories of company-wide speeches he had given. "We are a family. We lift each other up. Character matters more than competence." He had believed those words when he said them. Now walking through the evidence, he wondered how many others ever had. Near the break area, a group of senior managers formed a loose semicircle around him, like spectators at a street performance. One clapped slowly, mockingly. Another bowed with exaggerated politeness. "Careful," someone said with a grin. "This isn't a kid's party." The laughter that followed was sharp, practiced, effortless. Adrian felt something shift inside him. Not anger, not humiliation, but clarity. This was no longer just a test. It was a reckoning in motion. Then, amid the noise, something unexpected happened. A young woman, an intern by the look of her badge, stepped out from behind the coffee machine. Her hands trembled slightly as she held out a paper cup filled with water. She didn't smile. She didn't laugh. She didn't look around for approval. "You don't deserve this," she said softly. For half a second, the room froze. Adrian took the cup, his fingers brushing hers. The gesture was small, almost insignificant, but it hit him harder than any insult he had endured that morning. In that moment, he understood something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Kindness was rare here, but not extinct. The laughter slowly returned, louder than before, as if trying to erase the discomfort. But Adrian knew the truth now. This experiment would not end quietly, and this was only the beginning. Asterisk. The moment Adrian Vale walked away from the break area, the building seemed to breathe again, as if everyone felt relieved that the strange, uncomfortable mirror he carried had moved on. But for Adrian, the tension only tightened. Part 1 had shown him mockery. Part 2 would show him something far more dangerous, indifference mixed with power. He wandered into the executive wing, where the carpet grew thicker and voices grew lower. This was where respect was supposed to live. Where leaders were trained, values were framed on walls in elegant fonts, and decisions affecting thousands of lives were made over espresso and glass tables. The Joker didn't belong here, and everyone made sure he felt it. A senior executive named Mark Halden. Adrian knew him well, had promoted him personally, stepped out of his office, and stopped short when he saw Adrian. Mark's expensive watch caught the light as he folded his arms, eyes scanning the costume with open disgust. "Security?" Mark called out, not even bothering to hide his irritation. "Why is this clown roaming the executive floor?" Adrian felt the word clown echo in his chest. He lowered his head slightly, playing the part, saying nothing. Another executive laughed. "Maybe HR hired him for morale." Mark scoffed. "Morale? He's a liability. Someone like that makes the company look cheap. Someone like that." The phrase stuck like glue. Adrian continued walking, deliberately slow, forcing himself to hear every word. A woman whispered, "Imagine if clients saw this." A man replied, "People like him should know their place." Their place. Years ago, Adrian had known his place, sleeping in a one-room apartment, counting coins to afford instant noodles, being ignored in meetings because his suit wasn't expensive enough. He had built Veil Dynamics from that place. And now, standing here disguised as a joke, he was reminded how thin the line really was. Near the boardroom, he paused. Inside, through the glass wall, sat the leadership team preparing for a strategy meeting. His chair at the head of the table was empty. One of them noticed him and frowned. The door opened slightly. "You lost?" the man asked sharply. "I'm just looking," Adrian replied in a deliberately uncertain voice. "Well, look somewhere else," the man snapped. "This floor isn't for entertainment." The door shut. Something hardened inside Adrian. He moved on, entering the training department, a place designed to shape future leaders. A motivational poster on the wall read, "Character is who you are when no one is watching." Adrian nearly stopped walking. Inside the room, a trainer was lecturing a group of new hires. The trainer noticed Adrian and rolled his eyes. "Class, this is a perfect example of distraction," the trainer said loudly. "If you ever want to succeed here, don't be like this." The trainees laughed nervously. Some avoided eye contact. Others smiled, grateful not to be the target. Adrian stood there, absorbing it all. No one questioned whether it was right. No one asked who he was. No one thought to help him. Then, unexpectedly, a voice spoke up from the back of the room. "That's not fair." The trainer froze. "Excuse me?" A young man stood, his hands shaking but his voice steady. "We talk about respect every day. He hasn't done anything wrong." The room fell silent. The trainer's face tightened. "Sit down," he said coldly. The young man hesitated, then slowly sat, eyes lowered. Adrian felt a strange ache in his chest. 2 acts of courage in one day. 2 people willing to risk standing out in a company where fitting in had become a survival skill. He left the room before the tension could settle, his mind racing faster with every step. This wasn't just about a few rude employees. It was about a culture that rewarded cruelty, dressed indifference as professionalism and punished compassion as weakness. As he entered the elevator, alone at last, Adrian reached up and touched the edge of the painted smile on his face. For the first time, his hands trembled. He had built this place brick by brick. And now he was walking through the cracks. But the test wasn't over. Not even close. The real shock, the one that would force him to choose between preserving his empire or saving its soul, was still waiting. And it would come from the person everyone underestimated the most. Adrian Vale did not remove the makeup that night. Instead of returning to his penthouse overlooking the river, he checked into a modest hotel across town, the kind executives never noticed unless something went wrong. He sat alone on the edge of the bed, still wearing the purple suit, the orange vest, the green hair piled messily on the desk chair. The Joker stared back at him from the mirror, but this time the painted smile felt less like a disguise and more like an accusation. Part 3 began where denial ended. Sleep came in fragments. Every time Adrian closed his eyes, he saw faces from the day-laughing executives, indifferent trainers, the young man who dared to speak. At dawn, he rose, reapplied the makeup with steadier hands, and returned to Vale Dynamics before most employees arrived. Today, he would go deeper. Today, he would step into places power rarely visited. He started with customer support. Rows of cubicles stretched across the floor, phones already ringing, screens blinking with complaints, requests, frustration from people who depended on the company's products. The Joker walked slowly between desks. Some employees glanced up, rolled their eyes, and turned away. Others whispered. A few laughed. A supervisor noticed him and marched over. "You can't be here," she said sharply. "This is a working floor." "I just want to watch," Adrian replied softly. The supervisor sighed. "Fine, 5 minutes. Don't distract anyone." At one desk sat a woman named Lena. Adrian recognized her name instantly. She had sent multiple reports to management about unrealistic call quotas. Reports that had never reached him. Her headset was slightly cracked, her chair uneven. Still, her voice was calm, kind, patient. "I understand your frustration," she said into the phone. "Let me see what I can do." The customer on the other end was shouting. Lena flinched but didn't interrupt. Adrian stood quietly beside her cubicle. When the call ended, Lena removed her headset and rubbed her temples. She noticed Adrian then and startled. "Oh, sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't mean to ignore you." "You didn't," Adrian replied. "You handled that well." She gave a tired smile. "You learn to." The supervisor barked from across the room. Less chatting, more calls. Lena straightened instantly, eyes dropping. Adrian felt anger rise, not explosive, but cold. This woman carried the weight of hundreds of customers every day, yet she was treated like a machine. He moved on, heart heavy. Next came the warehouse. The air was colder, louder, filled with the echo of machinery and the hum of exhaustion. Workers moved fast, scanning, lifting, loading. The Joker stood out like a bruise. A foreman spotted him and laughed. "Nice costume." Halloween came early. Before Adrian could respond, a pallet slipped nearby. A worker lost his balance and fell hard, clutching his ankle. The laughter stopped. Adrian rushed forward instinctively, kneeling beside the man. "Are you okay?" The worker grimaced. "I think it's twisted." The foreman hesitated. "We can't stop the line." Adrian looked up sharply. "He's hurt." The foreman shrugged. "We're behind schedule." Something inside Adrian snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, but decisively. He stood, towering in the ridiculous costume, voice calm but iron hard. "Stop the line." The foreman scoffed. "You don't give orders here." Adrian leaned closer. "Stop the line." Other workers stared. The foreman hesitated, then reluctantly signaled. Machines slowed, then halted. They helped the injured man sit. Someone fetched ice. A young worker whispered to Adrian, "Thanks." Adrian nodded, throat tight. This was what leadership was supposed to look like. And yet it had taken a clown to demand it. By midday, rumors were spreading. "Have you seen the Joker? He stood up to a manager. He helped in the warehouse. He's weird, but not bad." Adrian overheard it all. In the afternoon, he entered the cafeteria. Executives sat at one end, employees at the other. The divide was physical, deliberate. Adrian picked up a tray and sat in the middle. Conversation died around him. A man across the table stared. "You lost, buddy?" Adrian smiled faintly. "Just eating." The man shrugged and went back to his food. A few minutes passed. Then someone spoke. "Why are you doing this?" A woman asked quietly. Adrian looked at her. "Doing what?" "Pretending to be." This. Adrian considered the question carefully. To see who people are when they think no one important is watching. The table went silent. Later that day, he returned to the executive floor. This time, he didn't wander. He walked straight into the boardroom. Gasps. Shouts. Chairs scraping. Mark Halden stood up, furious. "What is the meaning of this?" "Get security." Adrian stepped forward, closed the door behind him, and slowly removed the green wig, then the purple jacket, then the orange vest. Silence crashed down like thunder. Adrian wiped the makeup from his face with a cloth, revealing the man every one of them knew. The billionaire. The founder. The CEO. Mark's face drained of color. Someone dropped a pen. Another whispered, "Oh my God." Adrian looked around the room, eyes steady, voice quiet. "I've been listening," he said. No one spoke. "I've been watching how you treat people when you think they don't matter." He paused, letting the words sink in. "And tomorrow," he continued, "every single person in this company will learn what I heard." Fear flickered across their faces, but Adrian wasn't finished yet, because the most painful revelation, the one that would change not just his company, but his life, had not come from executives or supervisors or policies. It was still coming from someone who had nothing to lose and everything to teach him. Adrian Vale stood alone in his office long after the boardroom emptied. The city lights below glittered like distant stars, but for the first time in decades, they didn't comfort him. The silence pressed in, heavy with everything he could no longer ignore. Tomorrow he had promised truth, but tonight, truth was already dismantling him. Part 4 did not begin with an announcement. It began with a knock. A soft, hesitant knock on his office door. Adrian turned. "Come in." The door opened slowly. It was the young man from the training floor, the one who had spoken to the Joker without fear. His name badge read Evan Morales. He stood awkwardly, hands clasped, clearly nervous. Someone said you wanted to see me," Evan said. Adrian studied him carefully. No arrogance, no calculation, just a man bracing himself. "Yes," Adrian replied. "Thank you for coming." Evan stepped inside, glancing around the luxurious office with barely disguised discomfort. "Am I in trouble?" Adrian let out a slow breath. "No, you're the reason this company still has a chance." Evan blinked. "Sir?" Adrian gestured for him to sit. Evan obeyed, perching on the edge of the chair. "When you spoke to me yesterday," Adrian said, "you didn't know who I was." Evan nodded. "I just thought you were someone who needed to hear the truth." Adrian smiled faintly. "Most people don't bother." There was a long pause. Then Adrian asked quietly, "Why did you say something when everyone else laughed?" Evan hesitated. "Because I've been laughed at my whole life," he said finally. "And I know what it costs when no one speaks up." The words struck deeper than any accusation. Adrian leaned back, eyes glistening. "I built this company believing efficiency was everything. I told myself kindness would slow us down. I was wrong. Evan swallowed. With respect, sir. People don't leave companies because the work is hard. They leave because they feel invisible. That night, Adrian didn't sleep. Instead, he rewrote by morning. The entire company was summoned, not to a press release, not to a vague memo, but to a live broadcast streamed to every floor, every warehouse, every remote employee across the world. Adrian stood on the stage alone. No suit, no makeup. Just a simple shirt, sleeves rolled up. "My name is Adrian Vale," he began, voice steady. "And yesterday I failed you." A murmur rippled through the company. "I walked among you disguised as someone you believed didn't matter. And I learned something painful." He paused. "Many of you feel unseen, disrespected, afraid to speak." The executives watched from the front row. Rigid and pale, "I allowed a culture to grow where performance mattered more than people." Adrian continued. "That ends today." He took a breath. "Effective immediately, call quotas will be reduced. Warehouse safety protocols will be rewritten by the workers themselves. Supervisors who intimidate will be retrained or removed." Gasps, whispers, disbelief, and Adrian said, eyes locking onto the camera, "Any employee can request a direct meeting with leadership without fear of retaliation." He paused, then added softly, "including me." The applause didn't come all at once. It started small. One clap, then another, then the sound exploded, raw, emotional, unstoppable. Some employees cried. Others laughed. Many simply stood in stunned silence. But Adrian wasn't finished. He turned slightly. "There is one more thing." Security doors opened at the side of the stage, and Evan Morales stepped out. Adrian placed a hand on his shoulder. "This man reminded me what courage looks like. Effective today, he will be joining our internal culture council, created to ensure this company never forgets who it serves." Evan's eyes widened. "Sir," Adrian leaned closer. "You already did the hard part." The room erupted again, but the most powerful moment came weeks later. Adrian returned to the warehouse not as a test, not in disguise but as himself. He rolled up his sleeves and helped load shipments. He listened. He learned names. And one afternoon, as he was leaving, a worker stopped him. "You know," the man said, "when you came here as that joker, I thought you were ridiculous." Adrian chuckled. "Fair, but," the worker continued, "you were the first nobody who ever cared enough to stop the line." Adrian nodded, throat tight. "I should have done it sooner." The company didn't become perfect overnight. Mistakes still happened. People still argued. Change was slow, but something fundamental had shifted. Respect was no longer optional. Months later, Adrian stood before the mirror in his penthouse. On the counter sat the green wig, the purple jacket, the orange vest. He didn't throw them away. He folded them carefully and placed them in a box. Not as a reminder of shame, but as a reminder of truth. That sometimes, to truly see the world you've built, you must first step into it as someone who has nothing at all.